face-to-face with your community. Someone like me can't come in and impose something on a community. The community has to work together. And if that means there's just two of you doing it right now, then do it. I've done canvassing with just one other mom of the neighborhood. We were the only ones. But that district is opting out like crazy this year. So you got to start somewhere. And I would say start by, if you can get into your PTAs, if you can canvass and knock on doors, and stand outside the school and hand out papers as parents are walking back to their cars.
That's the question I have, though, is like, is that going to get me in no trouble? Because I go to the PTA meetings, there are 5 other parents there. There's 400 students.
So if you're across the street from your school, kids have to cross streets, right? I know at my school there are many targeted spots where I could be standing. I can't because I would get fired, but you can, you're a parent. So don't stand within the school boundaries, stand outside that boundary. There's nothing they can do to you if you hand someone a flyer.
Sidewalks are public.
Yep, they can't do anything.
Sidewalks are the public right of way, so you can't be on school grounds, but you can be on the sidewalk across from the school grounds.
That's not fired, I'm going to stand across the street.
There you go.
Awesome.
That's all I know, that Spanish resources.
Boasberg is going to be at Harvey Park, is that right? Yeah. Harvey Park on April 8th. Everything you want to know about DPS. Who is it, Boasberg and who else? Oh, so she's our Board of Education. I know it sounds like maybe we're talking legislators because superintendents may not really have much power.
Oh, no.
If you want to talk to Tom Boasberg.
So what's that date?
Sorry?
What was the date again? So we can say that like April 8th.
And where?
At Harvey Park? Rexon?
You know what, sign up for on the email list, and we'll make sure that we get that out and the Pat Stedman out. And then respond to those emails if you can make it, because I think the key here is really sticking together. And the more people step up in that leadership role and exercise courage, then the more people will follow. And it has that tipping point kind of effect.
And let me I want to make one other suggestion in regards to this. The one thing that I have believed all along is if we could get all these districts to come together and support one another, we play tag team, which is why United Opt-out has the March 20th to 35th meeting. Because imagine this, you're going to have people represented from every district there, and if you said to them, would you canvass my neighborhood with me on this day? And I'll come and canvass your neighborhood with you on this day. I guarantee you it will happen. People want to do this, but we've got to communicate and organize in order to make that happen.
I just wanted to mention one other event too. For those of you at Denver Public Schools, there is the Denver Public Schools Superintendent Forum on Tuesday, and the discussion of the Denver plan, which my understanding involves significant amounts of testing as part of the Denver plan. So I just got a robocall before coming here tonight, inviting us to attend. So Tuesday morning, I think it's 9 to 11, and it also happens again. Do you know the other time?
There's an evening.
There's an evening session. I just don't remember the times for the evening session. But
It's over on Great, and it's right off Alameda at the synagogue here on Great.
I think it's Temple Emmanuel. Is that right? So Temple Emmanuel. That's Tuesday. This coming Tuesday. We probably won't have time to get it out in the email. But look into it on the DPS website. Look for the superintendent forum. And again, robocalls went out. So.
Place to make it come because the superintendent uses that as a platform to look very good in front of the Hispanic community and DPS. They have translators. It would be a great opportunity to get information out with him on the spot. Tell us why we're testing. I think it would be a great way to communicate with people who are only Spanish speaking and who are coming thinking that this is going to be such a great rah-rah, and some of us are planning on going and talking about how these issues are really, really abusing our children.
And the whole purpose that they say behind this superintendent forum is to gather parent input about the Denver plan. So hopefully they're going to
Watch
provide some
out
time.
with Boasberg though, because when parents do show up and he sees them, he ducks out and has his aides coming. He's notorious for it.
Superintendent's for.
So let me just say that I have a one-page opt-out guide, and then we have sample opt-out letters. And photocopy them, and when you're at these town hall meetings, pass that stuff out. We're giving you permission to photocopy our stuff.
We have a whole bunch of extra stuff in the back. Please take and distribute it as you like.
8 o'clock.
The school board meetings too, you want to mention that, like the DPS, they're, you can call, you can go online, school board meeting, and you can call and actually book some time. They give you 3 minutes, but you can get up there and speak to the school board.
For those of you that have older children, I want to encourage you to book your children for those kind of venues, for those school boards, and really support them in having a voice in all this. Allow them to tell their story. Because we are missing the voices of children. And when we have these board meetings and they're always talking about the systems and the data and the pipeline, what they're missing is that these are children, living, breathing children with interests and unique qualities all their own. And so let's bring our children back into this discussion.
I'm sorry, before, I know this is your church and your venue. Do we have time for some more questions, or do we need to wrap it up and maybe take some questions privately
We have
afterwards?
time for more questions.
Okay,
I
thank
want to
you. Sorry,
piggyback
thank
real
you.
quickly on what Angela said about students. Alex Cash is a student activist here in Denver. Just left me a message on my way in here today to make sure that you guys know that they're now creating a Denver Student Union. Very exciting news. They have a rally planned. I want to say the date is March 4th.
March 3rd.
Thank you, March 3rd. And what's the name of his website?
I don't know.
Students, no, that's hers. If you go to unitedopt.com, when he has this rally, I will
It's
list it on
students
there.
first. Is it students?
No, it's not students first, no.
But it's something like that.
Students for our schools.
Yes.
If I had known I had this information, I would have gotten it, but anyway, he just called me. So the students are getting very active here, and anything they do, I'll be sure to post on my website.
And Peggy, is it possible for people to post events on United Opt-out?
Most definitely, yes.
Please do that. Please post your events. I mean, it sounds like there's lots of opportunities coming up, and I'm terrible with technology, but Peggy, she's got this Facebook page, so please post it there.
Let's do maybe 5 more minutes.
I want to piggyback off of what Alan was talking about. You may not know, DPS has changed their meeting time starting next month. Our next meeting will begin an hour earlier, starting at 4:30. And public comment will start at 5:30, which makes it so easily accessible for teachers and parents, as you know. It will also be probably April, they are going to be moving into their new building at 1860 Lincoln, which adds another layer of ease to getting to a board meeting each month. But that's where they need to hear that this is not a way to do community outreach or be accessible. So if you are a Denver resident, please contact the school board. If you don't want to talk to them, send them an email, call them, write a letter, because they need to hear this meeting time is not okay.
So I just have a little quick story I can tell very quickly. When I'm not teaching at school, I teach ceramics, and on Monday nights I have a class and I have a bunch of lovely ladies, and one of them won Colorado Art Teacher of the Year award last year. She's a lovely woman, and she teaches for Cherry Creek Schools. And she said that she had given her students a writing assignment, which was to talk about their education, and she teaches high school. And a 17-year-old girl had written, "By the time you get to my age, you feel sort of like a log that has been hollowed out and chipped at and chipped at and chipped at to have nothing left inside." Now, if a little girl who's in a Cherry Creek school at the age of 17 with an art class, which we don't even have art at our school anymore, says that, what do children who are going up against those standardized curriculums think about their lives?
And I want to make a comment because I am in a entirely different community. I grew up speaking Spanish, learned English as a second language and so forth, so I still have contact with a lot of people who have come here from Mexico, bring their children. Many times their children have been here for
I have 3 kids in Denver Public Schools in 3 different schools ranging from red to green. And I really struggle a lot with trying to find, where do I have a public voice and where is my resistance more private. DPS can have very, very creative ways of retaliating, which aren't necessarily what is published in, the official, this is how we deal with testing. So how do you find the strength to be that vocal? I think I would be the only person opting out in all 3 schools. When there's no critical mass and when you know the power of what those who hold the reins can do.
For me, because I'm teaching, what I'm doing is a great risk, right? But I have a moral obligation, and so I think you just honestly, you have to look inside yourself and say, what is the right thing to do? I have neighbors that think I'm crazy. I've lost friends over this. It's a lonely gig, to be quite honest. If I didn't have Angela here, oh my gosh, she's like my saving grace because I know I can talk to her. But it can be rather lonely, but I think we have to do this for our kids, and we have got to stand up and say what is right and speak the truth. I couldn't live with myself if I did anything else. And if that means I lose my job, so be it. But it's a moral obligation. We have to do what's right for our children. So that's where I find the strength. And am I scared sometimes? You bet. Sometimes I'm terrified. Sometimes something happens and I think, oh my gosh, they found out. What's going to happen to me? But I just keep moving forward because it's the right thing to do.
I'd just like to say we lost another school this year. Another one of our middle schools, traditional middle schools, will be closing. So kids won't be able to walk to school anymore unless they win the lottery to get into their charters at OBCOM. And that's one of the reasons my son opts out. Because no matter what they do to him, what they're doing to so many other people is so much worse.
Yeah, and I'll just say, this isn't the first time that people have had to, stand up against really challenging circumstances. We had the women's suffrage movement, we had the civil rights movement, we had people, that made terrible sacrifices, petitioning and hunger strikes. And we have a history of leaders who have said, when it comes to the injustice in humanity, we will simply not stand for it. And I really try and pull my courage from those folks. In my office, I just redid my office last year, and I have, pictures of Angela Davis and Nelson Mandela and all of those people who, for those folks that had the courage to stand up for all of us, we would not have the rights and the freedom that we do today. And that's really what we're up against. If we do not take a stand, if we do not find the courage from some corner within ourselves, then our children will not have the freedoms and the rights that we have had, that we've enjoyed. This is not just about education. This is about who we are going to be. And I would say to you, if you're struggling with that, ask yourself, I have to answer the question who I'm going to be in this struggle so that my kids can answer that question for themselves someday.
And all those movements, it wasn't just those big people, but it was small people who, just average people who took a risk. And so, and I talked to my daughter about that and try to tell her the importance of what she's doing by not taking the test. And yeah, it is really kind of annoying because the school that my daughter goes to the school is its own school district. So it's very small. It has like 350 students. The parents are very rah-rah. We love our school. And so anything that's said is taken against the school. So you can be viewed as, by opting out, you're trying to harm the school, and
So there, a lot of the parents make you feel sort of ostracized, and that can be annoying. But I know I'm doing the right thing, and there may be one other parent at the school who may opt out. I don't know. I'm encouraging her. I don't know. But I take strength from knowing that there are lots of parents around, on Facebook, and lots of us who are doing that. I may not see them at my school, but I know that there are more and more of them who are happening, and that's the right thing for us and the right thing, I think, for the nation. And so each one of us taking that little step together.
You become an example for the next person. You become the example for the next person, and that's the wildfire that catches.
Yeah.
I mean, Peggy has, inspired people throughout the entire nation from her kitchen table on her computer. So there's power here. We underestimate the power that we have. And if we could step into that, we could change all of this. We could change it all. And I just want to say, if you want to think an activist, the best way to think an activist is to become one yourself.
Well, and I'm sorry, we do have to let that be the last comment. We've extended our 5 minutes into 15 almost now. I think all of us will be around for a few minutes as we pack up and close up. If you have anything that you want to say more privately. We just want to thank you all for being here tonight. Angela has her books in the back for sale for $20 if you're interested at all. Please sign up on our email list to get more information, more resources. We'll send out some information about the United Opt-out event. And we'd love to have you on our email list. Thank you for having the courage to be here tonight and for joining us. Lynn, anything else that you want me to say in closing?
Thank you so much for
Big hand.
sitting behind the mic.